Hi, my name is Noor Momin. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Bioengineering at the University of Pennsylvania. Both of my parents are physicians, so I was pretty convinced I'd be a doctor. My earliest memories are my parents working at a community center to give out flu vaccines or answering phone calls in the middle of the night from really concerned relatives about medical advice or wanting them to explain what their disease actually was in Urdu, the language we speak at home. So their impact was super inspirational. And I was also naturally curious about the human body. I was always quizzing my parents about diseases and medications that I could barely pronounce. But it was an undergrad when I realized my true passion wasn't necessarily following this clinical path, but exploring how the body works at a really microscopic level. And since then, I got my PhD in bioengineering and have been tinkering around with manipulating the immune system of the body. So this is the system that's responsible for protecting us from viruses and bacteria. And in recent years, we've learned that it can be harnessed for cancer therapy. And what my lab works on is harnessing it for cardiovascular disease. The PhRMA Foundation has funded our research on atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation is an irregular heartbeat that affects many older individuals. The current treatments to address Afib don't really address the underlying cause. They instead focus on preventing complications of Afib, like stroke. So the goal of this project is to fix the underlying problem. Afib happens when the heart tissue becomes scarred. The scarring is partially caused by cells in the heart that release a harmful protein. We are trying to create a combination therapy to reverse the scarring. The first part is an antibody, which works like a GPS to find the right cell. The second part attached to this antibody is an siRNA, which works to halt the production of that culprit protein within the cell. And so this combination together works to silence cells from making a harmful protein that causes scarring. And the goal is when scarring has been alleviated or removed from the heart, Afib is less likely to happen. Our early tests in mice have shown that this approach is very successful in reducing Afib. And now our approach is focusing on the clinical translation. We want to test whether or not this therapy can be applied to human tissues. If successful, this kind of treatment could fix a root cause of Afib, and it could potentially free many patients from Afib entirely. The other unique impact that this technology can have is it can be applied to many diseases that have scarring. This can include scarring within the liver, scarring within the kidneys, scarring within the lungs. These are all different diseases that could be addressed by the same type of therapy. So the impact of the Foundation Award on my lab has been huge. This award has enabled us as a lab to look beyond the horizon for new treatments for Afib, and it also allows us to explore a new modality for precision medicine. It really allows us to feel empowered, especially when you're starting a new team, to have some larger goal to be working towards. You get to start key experiments right away, get the momentum going. Funding for this early discovery work on itself is so important. You can't translate solutions to the clinic without this foundational work. In terms of a standout moment or a turning point in my career, it came in my PhD. I had the incredible opportunity to work with veterinary oncologists to test a new immunotherapy that we were making in canine patients with naturally occurring cancers. So these are sick pets. So what began as really basic foundational work transformed into seeing people's pets live longer. And those first dogs, Daisy, Max, Maverick, I'll never forget when we saw that their tumors were beginning to shrink after our treatment. It wasn't just a data point, it was quite literally a family getting to spend more time with their pet. So that translation, seeing translation in real time from bench to bedside was a real turning point for me, and it inspired me to continue on this path, to continue to discover new therapies and how we can get them to patients faster. The motivation has always been the same. It's always been my family. This is me becoming pretty deeply personal, but my partner's grandmother manages atrial fibrillation. My uncles all live with hypertension. I've seen my own grandfather die from a heart attack. And last year, my dad had an aortic dissection. And so these aren't just medical terms for me, they're conditions that are actually affecting the people that I love. And so those personal connections make transforming research, a research challenge, into a really, really urgent mission. My grad students, I warned them beforehand that the most worthwhile problems are not easy. If they were, they would already be solved. So when they get inevitably stuck in an experiment, I remind them that this frustration isn't a failure, but it's just an essential part of this discovery process when they're working on a hard problem. What separates really successful scientists from just the average scientist isn't intelligence, it isn't luck, it's just this persistence in uncertainty and with setbacks. I tell them don't give up. I tell them that their unique perspective is exactly what they need in order to solve the problem that has stumped people for generations. My ultimate career goal is to translate solutions to patients. This isn't a journey that you do alone. You do this with a big collaborative network and a team. A goal I have is to build this network of trainees that are not only highly technically skilled, but very resilient, very collaborative, because I know that it's not just my impact, but the impact of our entire team that will ensure that we can achieve the goals that we've set out.